go-karts race.
And the crowd goes wild.
All across the planet, the dirt track warriors duke it out for what matters most.
The trophy.
And the glory. This is the Gas and Glory Podcast, presented by R&R Enterprises, with your hosts, Kyle Looters and Neil Quick.
Coming to you direct from the studios here at R&R Enterprises, this is the place where we come each and every week to talk about what some of the greatest drivers in the world do, and we get to have a lot of fun making fun of each other. It's Gas and Glory with Kyle Looters and Neil Quick. And Neil, my friend, how are you doing today? Are you recovering from Knoxville yet? You had a big week.
I'm doing good and coming out of Knoxville and doing great. I just wish everybody would leave us alone for a few minutes, Kyle.
You know, we've been bothered because apparently Neil's chickened out on something. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show during Squeal or No Squeal.
I have not chickened out for anything.
But we need to start recapping what Team R&R has done, and we kick things off with none other than Donny Schatz. Once again, he picked up his 15th win of the season, 15 for the 15 in 2014. Now, this will work really well next year when we could do 3 15s. But he picked it up at Nodak Speedway in Minot, North Dakota, where he was born, near his birthday. His birthday is August 10th. You know, there's so many storylines here. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, he won a late model race the night before the World of Outlaws STP Sprint Car Series, racing at Nodak Speedway on Sunday evening. Schatz went to victory lane in the late model on Saturday night.
Well, I think he's getting that late model tuned up for ththose late model Knoxville Nationals, or Schattsville Nationals as we know them.
Well, he hasn't conquered Knoxville in a late model yet, but I really have to tell you, originally on my Knoxville announcing schedule this year, I was like, man, I can't make it up for the Lucas Oil late model nationals up there. I'm beginning to think that I might have to go to the old boss man and see if I get a few extra vacation days lying around somewhere and get up to Knoxville to be up there when Schatz takes to the track on Thursday night of the qualifiers.
I would say that it's going to be a hot ticket to have, and definitely to see him doing what he's doing in that late model and continuing to do what he's doing in the sprint car. I mean, it's impressive. 15 wins. He's 156 point markers in front of Daryn right now.
Daryn Pittman, his second, like Neil mentioned.
Paulie's close, too. I seen he's like 199 behind Schatz there.
Paul's up there as well, too. Want to talk about Daryn Pittman just a second. He was your winner Friday night at River City Speedway, one of my favorite tracks in the entire country. It's a very tight, small, high-banked bull ring. They get around there in about, 9.9 seconds.
That's a rocket.
That is a rocket. Can you imagine just a full lap in less than 10 seconds?
A lot of things are going on.
It's a good thing they don't have radios.
Yeah, no doubt.
It is a good thing they don't have radios. But, you know, big shout-out to Daryn Pittman, who, by the way, has some new R&R diecast, which, from what I'm understanding, sold pretty well at Knoxville. It was his 50th World of Outlaws STP Sprint Car Series win, and when you think about how much they've won this year and last year, he's added quite a few of those wins.
In the last 2 years.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, Daryn did tour quite extensively, probably in the mid to late 2000s, but then he went to Pennsylvania for about 4 years. Now back on the tour, he's tearing it up.
Yeah, I think maybe that stint up there in Pennsylvania maybe groomed him for his current ride the last 2 years with Casey Kane Racing, and you see a little bit of that happen when these guys back out of those rides, go run a Pennsylvania deal or drop off and do a little bit of local racing, especially at Knoxville. I mean, these guys come back out. I mean, we've seen what Delansky did up there at the Nationals.
Absolutely. Craig Delansky finishing fourth, and McStallion was up there as well, too. Terry McCarl. McCarl, a former World of Outlaws traveler, would love to be – he'll tell you, he'd love to be out on the road, but, you know, he's enjoying running Knoxville right now.
There were some guys that were very impressive, locals up there, and kind of interested to see what happens as we wind out this season heading into next year, seeing what teams come and go.
We're going to talk about the Knoxville Track Championship coming up here in just a little bit because that's going to be a barn burner this weekend. Final Lucas Oil Championship Cup race for the Knoxville Raceway.
Yep.
That's almost weird to believe we're done racing sprint cars at Knoxville.
It just felt like we just started.
No kidding. With the rainouts, it really does. So moving right along, one last note on Daryn Pittman, 12th on the all-time World of Outlaws win list and climbing. He's going to probably catch the likes of Jason Myers and Jack Hodenshield here before too much longer. I know Myers is up there, and Hodenshield's up there in the 60s. So I would say, you know, realistically speaking, you know, if Pittman can keep this up for another 4 or 5 years, he might have a shot at 100.
Well, it's impressive to see what he's doing, and definitely on the upswing and kind of not saying necessarily in his prime, but it definitely looks like he still has that to come too. I mean, it's coming around.
It's amazing to me, Neil, because when we talk about racing, everybody's always looking for the next Kyle Larson, or it used to be the next Jeff Gordon, that young guy. Sprint cars are, and to a certain degree, late models are a different beast in that a driver reaches his prime much later in age than they do, let's say, what they're looking for in NASCAR. You want the young guy. But when you go and you start a sprint car team, like what we've seen here in the past couple of years, Casey Kane went out and hired Daryn Pittman. Larson Marks Racing went out and hired Shane Stewart. The thought process is you want these veteran guys because the prime of their career is later because of the experience factor that comes in with these cars.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do the young guys are out there and they're wide open and bouncing off the walls, and unfortunately in a sprint car and in a late model, I mean these are finesse cars. You said it best by saying driver. These are a car that requires somebody to have the experience to be a driver and put the car in the right position. You know, these 24 to 40 lap, 50 lap features, they happen really quick and they seem to be short time spans, but you really got to think about it when you put these more mature drivers in these situations. You got to make that right move, and it's very critical. And I think that's why those drivers definitely in Daryn's and Donny's age limit, even that you see with Steve and Sammy still being able to perform, I think that's where I think that's the level of experience that's really required to be successful in sprint car and late model racing.
You know, some of the younger guys, they might be able to hustle the car a bit more from a physical standpoint. I think oftentimes the older gents, they can figure out how to set up the car, finesse the car to where they don't have to work so hard behind the wheel.
I think it's always the adage, the fastest car most time doesn't win. And you got young guys, and not taking anything away from these guys like Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell and even Sheldon Hodenshield that are coming up that are young kids that no speed except wide open. It's one of those deals where even Rico's case, I mean these guys are probably the fastest guys on the track from night to night, but you got to close it off or end it by the end of the night in victory lane, and that's the tough part.
I'm going to make you very angry here, but I just thought of a parallel here.
Okay.
It's like when you and I race iRacing.
Oh, boy, here we go.
I, being the younger hot shoe that I am, ton of speed, blazing speed. You, on the other hand, usually beat me.
Well,
you're maybe not as fast as I am,
you're
but
right,
you're more methodical.
When I don't become one of your torpedoes or
the target of my torpedo.
Exactly. I mean, it's
you cannot deny that my street stock has speed.
I just give you about 3 or 4 laps out front. You hit everything out there, and you just wave as you go by.
That's right. I'm Cole Trickle at the beginning of his career.
Oh, boy.
I'm bad fast. Speaking of bad fast, Joey Saldana finished second at Nodak. He picked up a quick time, continues to lead the World of Outlaws STP Sprint Car Series in quick times. And Neil, that's a guy that's closing in on 100 victories for his career. Right now he has 21 quick times on the season. The next closest guy, Paul McMahon with 9. It's not even close. Not even close. And I know we've talked about this. His 21 quick times, when you factor in the points, that's good for an extra 100 points on his points tally.
Don't get me started on this.
I know, but you can't deny the fact that Joey Saldana is putting on a clinic in qualifying this year, and he's a guy that is closing in on 100 World of Outlaws STP Sprint Car Series wins, and he said that was one of his main goals.
I bet if you check with Joey Saldana, though, he would trade some of those quick times for victories.
Yeah, he hasn't. The magic hasn't been there for the Modern Motorsports team, but I look for them to kind of get hot a little bit as we get racing more on this second West Coast swing. And I really think that Joey's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Right now, Joey's sitting tied with, he is ahead of Danny Lasowski for 6th on the all-time career wins list. He has 94, 6 more to go, and he cracks that magical number 100 mark. That's a mark only matched by Doug Wolfgang, Donny Schatz, Steve Kinzer, and Sammy Swindell.
That's impressive.
That's elite company.
Yeah, it's an impressive group to be involved in, kind of associated with.
And we were talking a little bit earlier about Daryn Pittman. Next up on the line for him will be Jack Hodenshield at 56, Jason Myers at 57, and Craig Delansky is 10th with 59. So a little bit of trivia there for you. Paul McMahon, quick time at River Cities, a pair of top fives, another Team R&R driver. Very happy about that. Moving right along, Christopher Bell wins Cornfest at Angel Park with Power I. And this is what I want to know. The last time Keith Coons took his Toyota-backed midgets up to Angel Park, it was the Pepsi Nationals. They ended up with cases upon cases of Pepsi.
Yeah.
So for the Cornfest,
how many bushels of corn did they give out?
Exactly. That's what I'm wanting to know. We need to call him up and ask him.
Fill the truck up.
Can you imagine that if you won the Corn Fest and they just came over and just like brought you bushels of ears of corn?
Oh, boy.
Say, where do you put it? At least it's in its own case.
Yeah, we're going farming.
It's already been farmed. It's harvested.
Well, it's time to turn it into money.
Oh, there we go. We'd like to congratulate all of the Team R&R drivers on an awesome weekend. And, Neil, we need to start talking about a few more things. Hopefully, we will be having diecast here pretty soon. Mm-hmm. Looking forward to that. No, we appreciate you folks very patiently waiting for that. If you placed your pre-orders, thank you very much. We still have to draw for the 3 sample cars, so thanks for sticking with us there. Everybody that picked them up at Knoxville for the small amount of cars that we had flown in, because normally these cars come in on a big cargo ship.
Yeah, they come out of China and they're put onto a cargo ship and they're shipped over here and received in through customs, and usually they get to us, and usually that process takes 4 to 6 weeks and on the water. And fortunately, we were able to get some of the cars air freighted in for the teams to have on the trailers in Knoxville, and it was a big success for the teams to have.
Yeah, the cars look great. Everybody says that they loved them, had a good time. One thing that I wanted to get into, and you touched on it a little bit earlier, this past weekend I got the chance to go up and do another NHRA Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series Division 6 event, video, on and off.
Snowmobiles?
No, got that set up though.
Oh boy.
That's coming up. We got one more race. It's up in Canada.
Okay.
The Canadians love their snowmobiles. Anyway, got the chance for the first time to really do some serious drag racing announcing. Mm-hmm. Totally different than circle track. Totally different. It's great because when they punch in the car information for the computer for the tree, it loads this entire screen full of information. Car, year, engine, the whole 9 yards. If they have like what they won 20 years ago, that's in there. And it pops up on a screen. You just click a button and it changes.
Really?
It's amazing. Like when I went to Knoxville for the Nationals, I had 8 spreadsheets worth of information. Shoot this.
This is kind of like NHRA for dummies?
Yeah, basically, I am a dummy when it comes to this stuff.
Oh, really?
I really am.
Cool.
But no. That's where I was going to lead this conversation, because we've seen it this year with NASCAR simplifying, it was a couple years ago, they simplified the point system.
Yep.
And now they're simplifying the chase to basically it's 4 drivers. First one across the finish line gets the championship.
You consider that simplifying what they did with the chase this year?
To a degree. To a degree.
They have to actually send out marketing videos so everybody understands what's going on with it.
Now, I did see that. Now, but hold on here. I'm using this correlation and also using the World of Outlaws STP Sprint Car Series point standings. You can take Lucas Oil Late Model Series, World of Outlaws Late Model Series, all these different unique point systems. And where I'm going to with this is, as an announcer for the drag races, we had 11 or 13 different classes.
Right.
Okay? I couldn't even spell some of them, let alone explain the nuances to you.
Sure.
And if I've been doing this for the better part of a year now, have we gotten to a point in motorsports where we have made things too complicated for the average fan to understand? Now, I preface it by saying this. Baseball, really simple. You hit the ball. You catch the ball.
Right.
He's either out, he's safe, whatever. Football, pigskin crosses the crossing into the end zone.
You still have the plays that are more complex that the sports fans have to
but
be able
the
to hang up
essence
with.
of it. The essence of it. Like in drag racing, in certain classes, it's not the guy that gets to the finish line first that wins.
No, that's true.
World of Outlaws, you've complained about the qualifying points.
I hate the qualifying points.
I know this. So what I'm trying to say is various forms of motorsports, are they too complicated for the average fan?
Yes and no.
Well, way to straddle the fence.
Yeah, or way to be on the side, right?
Yeah, no kidding. See, this is Neil Quick, objective. So
I assume the direction we're going is talking about sprint cars, what we're kind of based on here, and what we follow week in and week out, and definitely with the World of Outlaws deal, I will definitely agree. It's very complex. I don't like the qualifying point deal. Don't like the structure of keeping up with it. I can't tell you at the end of the night who really came out a winner or loser on the points. All you do is you look after the weekend's races and look and see what happened, and I don't like it. I mean, it's very complex. I think it needs to be simplified in something like that goes back to the NASCAR idea.
Where you basically have a point per position.
Right.
So, and then you actually have some bonus points for winning and leading laps and whatnot.
Right.
Because right now the World of Outlaws does not have a bonus point system for leading laps.
Well, and my question is in dirt racing it's a little bit different with the heat races and the dashes and so on. And that being said, I know one of the point systems that I prefer in dirt racing is the passing point system.
See,
you don't like that?
As an announcer,
right?
Trying to explain, because ultimately that's what we're getting back to, and that's kind of how I am looking at the lenses that I am looking at this issue through, is the announcing side of it. Because, like, take for instance when we go to Knoxville, Chris Krug and I are up in the booth. Mike Roberts is down in the pits.
Yep.
We have to. We are very blessed in the instance that most of the fans that come to Knoxville have been attending sprint car races since they built the place. And that place has been around for a long time.
Sure.
You've had generations of family come and sit in the same sections. Okay. But let's say we go to a track that never has had sprint cars before. And then you have to explain the format. You have to explain which drivers are important. You have to explain this. You have to explain that. Oh, by the way, I got to explain the passing points. Something's going to get lost. You're going to have frustrated fans in the stands because they're going to miss something. They're going to be at the concession stand. They're going to be in the restrooms.
Well, I agree with that to an extent. And being a fan that comes out one time to see a race and not ever coming back again, I don't think there's a whole lot lost in that.
But would you be more apt to come back if it was easier to understand? Okay, let's take this for instance. I'll give you the scenario. You are Neil Quick, brain surgeon. I know we're really walking out on a limb here.
I knew this day would come.
Yeah, folks, check out your
heard it first, brain surgeon, folks.
Check out your HMOs and your health savings accounts. Whatever you do, don't go see Neil Quick, MD. That rhymes.
Well,
anyway,
I mean, can I drop the squeal and go for Dr. Quick this time?
Dr. Quick. All right, we'll do Dr. Quick.
Okay.
More like Dr. Quack, but.
Oh, no.
Anyways, so let's say you're a brain surgeon.
You're going to be the first patient to keep this up.
Oh, jeez. Let's say that you had no experience with racing whatsoever.
Okay.
And just on a whim, you have a son. He heard whatever radio commercial that this racing series was going to be at the local track on Saturday night.
Right.
You knew nothing about it. Know nothing about it. Never heard of it before. You go out and you check it out. Would you feel overwhelmed and want to, and even at that point want to come back if you didn't thoroughly understand what was going on? Would the thrill of it be enough to get you to come back, or are you going to be frustrated by not understanding the complex model in which this operates?
Well, I think definitely in motorsports, the aspect of intrigue of going to an event like that is seeing the cars and vehicles and the speed and what's put on there. The second part is understanding the format. I mean, okay, I'll throw myself out there and on a Moxer truck event. I go to those events maybe once a year, and the format sometimes changes on the racing and different things. But they do a good job of telling how it's going to happen and how the racing part goes. And it's a little bit simpler, that being said, at a monster truck event than a sprint car or late model show that's got 4 to 6 heats and a trophy dash, and they line up and have an invert and passing points and all that. Granted, I think that really we need to look at it, come up with a simplified plan, and making it better for the fans to understand. I think it is a point that it does keep people interested if they do understand it, to go along with the aspect of the atmosphere of what you're at. You're at a dirt race watching these high-powered motorsports vehicles flying around the track, and these guys that are daredevils holding on to them and racing side by side. That is what the fans come and get to witness for the first time, that keep them intrigued and coming back. But it all has to come together, and I think that most of the folks out there that put on the shows between the World of Outlaws and ASCS and different formats and I think they do a good job explaining what's going on and keeping the fans interested and educating them so they understand that. But I still think it could be simplified to make it better for everybody.
That's why I wanted to ask your opinion. I actually thought about that on Saturday while I was announcing, because I was sitting there going, I am completely lost and confused here, which is terrible because somebody handed me a microphone. That's really deadly.
Sure.
There's nothing more deadly than an idiot on a microphone when he doesn't understand what's going on.
Hey, can you announce this, but you have no clue what's going on?
Oh, my gosh.
So we've safe to say that we had a few mistakes up there?
There was no Dan Drow Jr. comments.
Okay.
I can say that. It was fun. I got to work with a guy that had been calling races up in that area for 30 years.
Well, that'd be cool.
And I am a firm believer that, I saw a couple of other instances this past weekend where some young announcers got beat up a little bit online because they were new, because people aren't used to them. They don't have that. They don't have that certain flair about them yet. They haven't been coming to that track for 20 or 30 years to know the guys, know their kids, know their daily lives. Well, that's so much of announcing, I believe. You have to have the inherent talent and voice to do it. The rest of it is just acquiring knowledge. And it's not something that you pick up the first night you walk into the pits with a clipboard. You'll get sponsors. You'll get hometown.
Well, it's okay because there's always 250 race fans out there that definitely have more knowledge than most people.
You're exactly right.
And that's where it goes wrong and the negative impact comes. And as fans, as we talk about fans learning to be able to pick up on point systems and learning racing, they have to learn that aspect too of welcoming new people in there and being able to adjust. And I welcome that. I welcome the new voices being out there and hearing different views of it, and look forward to that. That's always going to be happening in racing as people move on and take different sides and different directions. So I think you guys do a wonderful job with Knoxville, and I think the guys with the World of Outlaws and Johnny Gibson do a great job there, and vice versa. I mean, the local Power I guy does a great job with announcing for them guys too.
It's so crucial as we talk about new sprint car series getting started up, like the Renegade Sprint Series that's going on over in Ohio. I hope that they end up having one guy handle that. World of Outlaws, Johnny Gibson. Lucas Oil Late Models, James Essex. World of Outlaws Late Models, it's Ben Shelton now.
Sure.
Lucas Oil ASCS, Brian Holbert. When you get to travel around with a series and you get to know the guys, that infinitely helps you because you pick up on the small stuff. Like you might be announcing Jason Johnson, and you might remember that Jason Johnson told you a couple of weeks ago he had a flat tire, and that led to meeting this guy that helped his car out, and you never know where that's going to go. But
I think where I picked up on it really for the first time last year is getting to go to the Grove and hearing Bruce Ellis live to talk and be an announcer. In comparison to the contrast, I think me and you discussed it between Johnny Gibson. You got a light switch that's on, you got a light switch that's off, and it comes together. And it's just two different ways of announcing, and sounds different, but both of them are very knowledgeable about their sport, and they do a great job.
And Tony Bachhoven and Bobby Gerald are two more names come to mind when you talk sprint car racing.
Sure.
Very, very good at what they do. But that also ties into the element of helping the fans understand their familiar voices. They have the knowledge. They help out in that instance. But that was just something that I wanted to pose a question to you, was because I was sitting there thinking about it this week, and, okay, give me 2 or 3 ways that we could simplify racing. Give me 2 or 3 ways of things that we could do that would simplify the show to make it more conducive for new fans to understand.
Oh, I think that there is it's kind of uncharted ground as it comes to point systems. I mean, that you've heard me complain about the qualifying points and what's rewarded in that aspect, and I get confused by it all the time. The point system with the World of Outlaws is something that I think they could be adjusted and be refined, and I think they can trickle down to local races and even outlaw late model points and different things out there. Lucas Oil, there could be a different aspect of that that's brought up each night on the point system and the race formats and how the folks get advanced to the mains of each race each night. So.
You bring up very good points. You're listening to Gas and Glory. My name is Kyle Luders. He is Neil Quick, and we've been talking about what racetracks and racing series can do to make things a bit more understanding or easier to understand for new fans. But, we'll table that discussion here for a while. Great insight from Neil there. He's been around racing pretty much his entire life. We've kind of hit that point in the season where the big-time summer races are over.
Well, we got a couple more.
Where I was going to with it is this. We have some big races coming up. They're more, Labor Day obviously is going to be a big weekend. You've got the U.S. Nationals for NHRA. You've got the World 100 at Eldora. The World of Outlaws sprint cars are going on there. West Coast Speed Week.
Gold Crown Midgets.
Gold Crown Midgets are coming up. I mean, you're starting to catch up into the fall now, some of these bigger events coming up. So give me the temperature, give me an idea of what's going on here at R&R. Is there any new stuff in the pipelines that you can talk about? Or
really, it's the
do
time.
We have Kyle Street Stock Legend shirts in the works?
They're still on delay.
Man.
Yeah, those 8 sales for those shirts ain't going to cut.
No, dude, I sold another 5 this weekend.
So we're up to 13.
We are up to 13.
Yeah.
What's the minimum I got to get to?
100.
100?
Yeah.
I got it. After I run that snowmobile, and we can tack that snowmobile on there and be like 300 Canadians buy them.
So you're going to have a snowmobile and a street stock on your shirt.
I'm just,
By the way, the minimum just went up because there's 2 vehicles on it.
I am a modern day Mario Andretti.
No, I wouldn't go there, Kyle.
No, Nelly Jones.
No, let's leave it alone and we'll talk about what's going on.
Great racer across multiple disciplines.
No, you're not.
I can race a late model, a street stock, and a snowmobile.
Okay. Well, that's good. Nice to know.
You're not biting on any of this. We're moving along.
Yeah, I'm leaving it alone.
Come on, man.
No, I'm kind of actually after the Knoxville swing and what's been going on and all the hecticness here at R&R. I'm creating my own words here. But
that'll be in this year's Webster's dictionary.
No, Dr. Quick's dictionary.
Oh, excuse me. Pardon me, Dr.
MD.
Quack.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. No, it's this time of the year is basically where things are starting to wind down. Kind of working on some championship stuff and merchandise for folks and kind of gearing up for that. But really gearing towards 2015 and
already.
Yes,
wow.
We've already been working on 2015 stuff and already looking towards some big events coming. I know a little event down there in Tulsa called the Chili Bowl. So trying to get ahead of the schedule.
I've never had a good bowl of chili in Tulsa.
Really?
No.
Wow. I've never had any chili in Tulsa.
I've had a good steak in Tulsa.
Oh.
Flat iron.
Really?
Yeah.
Usually when I'm down at Tulsa, there ain't much time to eat. You're always on the go and running.
You're just running in the wrong crowds.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. So, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you there anyways.
No,
but,
it's
big events coming up 2015.
Yeah, we're
getting the jump on it.
We're basically getting jump on it. Really excited, especially for you folks that are out there collecting the diecast, working on some programs that are very, very good programs that haven't been made before and drivers. So really, really excited about that and just getting a jump on 2015. Got some neat 2015 drag racing apparel that we're working on and the middle of the winter, we do a lot of stuff over in Australia and New Zealand, and their racing season's getting ready to kick off and start. So a lot of neat Australian, New Zealand stuff for some of our U.S. drivers and some of the drivers from over there. So it doesn't really ever slow down a whole lot for us. So just kind of gearing up and going that direction. And it's kind of weird to even be talking about 2015, but we're there and working on it.
Good day, mate.
Yeah.
That's what we've been hearing an awful lot of around here. The phones are starting to ring. Our friends down in Australia and New Zealand, like Dr. Quack mentioned, are gearing up for their racing season. Speaking of gearing up for racing, the World of Outlaws STB Sprint Car Series heads up to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And I got to tell you.
Hey, mate. Or is it just A?
A.
Oh, okay.
A.
Sorry.
You want some poutine? A?
Okay.
Have I told you about poutine?
I have no idea what it is.
Okay, here. This is great. All right, hold on.
Is this like Vegemite?
No. Dr. Quack, just listen a second.
All right.
Poutine is French fries in a styrofoam cup with brown gravy on it.
Really?
The Canadians love it.
That'll help.
I'm gonna get some when I go up to Mission Raceway for the NHRA divisional event. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Text us a picture.
I will send you a picture of it. Oh, it's good. You wouldn't think it would be.
You might want to wait to eat those after you try to go down the the course.
Well, yeah,
on the
I got to
snowmobile.
be light because I'm going to set a new land speed record on a snowmobile.
I think we need to reassure or kind of just reinform them that the bet was that you were going over 100 mile an hour
That's
on a
right.
snowmobile, and there's no way in heck fire this is going to ever happen.
Why not?
I'm thinking you're going to top out about 55.
Why? What do you think is going to stop me? You've seen the way I drive.
Well, yeah, but
Imagine me then in a
you're talking about driving on the road. I've seen the way you've driven.
Safety
I mean,
gear.
you can't get over the speed limit, Kyle.
No, I drive the speed limit.
And when you do, I mean, I've even seen you when you're backing up. You back up and you still crash into things.
I haven't backed up and crashed into anything in 6 years.
No, it was last year at Williams Grove when we went to Lattimore Valley. I think there's still your mark on the pole there.
I didn't back into anything there.
Yeah, the scoring tower.
Did not. Anyway, moving right along.
By the way, they had a reunion up there, so I think everything's still good.
Well, that's good. I'm glad I didn't knock that scoreboard down.
That's true.
That was a tough little rental car.
That's an old track to be knocking things down, Kyle.
You still wouldn't let me hot lap that place.
Yeah, no.
Power Eye has a triple header coming up. Did have a triple header. That was a great show. They've got more racing coming up. Local tracks have an awful lot going on. They're starting to close out their season. Some of the folks over in Illinois are going to be treated to some great shows coming up.
Yeah, I think we just got through the weekend and got the Silver Crown race and ARCA deal up there at Springfield. Unfortunately, the Silver Crown race has been rescheduled for, I think, September 7th. Mm-hmm. But the ARCA race went off, and big success up there.
Kevin Swindell picked up the victory.
Yeah, it was pretty sharp to see him kind of come in last minute, get in that car and win. And we had some of our guys up there. I know Shane Cockrum, R&R customer, and Mr. Kenny Schrader.
Mr. Schrader was up there. Was probably taking a nap before the race, but Kevin Swindell, a Team R&R driver, and he sent out a very funny tweet after that. And he goes, "I think that's a good audition for a dirt truck ride next year at Eldora."
That'd be pretty cool to see Kevin Swindell try to tame old Eldora in a truck.
I think he'd be an odds-on favorite just between you and me. But speaking of favorites, it is now time for my favorite segment of the show, and Neil hates it, but I don't care. It's time, folks, for Squeal or No Squeal. Each and every week, we pose 3 racing-related questions, and we give our opinions in the form of a squeal if we agree and a no squeal if we don't. So, are you ready with question number 1, sir?
Am I reading question number 1?
We do this every week.
So I guess I'm reading question number 1.
Yes, please talk into LL micro. I'm going to get you one of those headset mics that follows your head around because you have the world's worst ADD.
Oh, that ain't true.
Yes, it is. Go ahead. Question number 1.
All right, question number 1. Will Donny Schatz get more than 23 wins this season? No squeal.
I'm going squeal.
He'll go close, but I don't think he's going over.
He's already got 15 of them.
Yeah.
Okay, 8 more to tie. 9 to get more than that. Look at what they still have yet. All the way up to Edmonton, that entire West Coast swing where you've got 7 or 8 races. Back across, you're going to Eldora, you're going back into Pennsylvania, and the World Finals. It's going to happen.
He's going to be close, but I'm going
I
no
say
squeal.
he gets 24, 25.
I figured you would.
Yeah.
All right, we agree to disagree again.
Yeah, it always happens. Question number 2, talking about some of our drag racing friends. Can a Don Schumacher driver chase down one of the 2 John Force drivers in the NHRA Points Championship? They're getting ready to kick off the countdown to the championship. The last regular season event for drag racing is the U.S. Nationals coming up Labor Day weekend.
I'm going squeal on this one.
Really, Robert Height and John Force been almost untouchable all season long. You think one of the Schumacher boys can do it?
Why not? If anybody can, they can.
Ron Capps, maybe?
Maybe.
Matt Hagan, maybe?
Beckman?
Fast Jack Beckman.
Yep.
Good guy. We're both going to go squeal on this one, folks.
Good cars.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I guess I got question number 3.
Yes, sir, you do.
A fan of the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Yeah, are you a fan?
That's really funny how that
I heard you chickened out.
I have not chickened out, folks. I got challenged last night at 4:30.
Uh-huh.
We haven't got to 4:30 or 5 o'clock today.
Just an FYI, folks. Neil has about an hour and 15 minutes to get doused with a bucket of ice cold water.
Well, I think I'm not the only one that's supposed to get doused with ice.
Oh, but here's the thing. My 24 hours isn't up until like 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, you got called out last night?
I got called out last night.
All right.
But I'm going to challenge you right here and now on Gas and Glory.
Okay.
I want you to donate the $100
Okay.
and get doused with water. I'm doing it. I do both. I challenge you right here and now.
I don't know. I got something planned for everybody on this one, so I'm just going to stay quiet on it, okay?
Oh, baloney.
I got something big for you.
You didn't answer. You a fan of it or not a fan of it?
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. Anything that can raise money and raise awareness to ALS and
finding a cure.
Yeah, finding a cure and helping folks out. I'm all for it. I know we do a lot with racing with ALS and racing against ALS up there with Keith Biner, so do a lot of shirts for him and stuff like that. But same thing. I mean, you can't go wrong here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's been very cool to see a lot of the drivers get in on the fun with, it's really looked like a lot of people dousing their high school and college football coaches. Only it's been water, not Gatorade.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Have you noticed that too?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. So, anyways, folks, that was squeal or no squeal. We both agree on that last question. And we want to take this opportunity to remind you that you can get some of the greatest gear in the world, racing gear that is, over at www.r-rracewear.com, the web's largest store for dirt track racing apparel and merchandise. And thank you guys very much for tuning in to Gas and Glory. On behalf of everyone here at R&R Enterprises, he's Dr. Quick or Dr. Quack, whichever you're wanting to use, and I'm Kyle Looters. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Gas and Glory, presented by R&R Enterprises. All rights reserved. Please visit the web's largest sprint car store today at www.r-rracewear.com. The views and opinions expressed in the show are the host and guest alone and do not directly reflect those of R&R Enterprises.